Hey guys, Foxtrop here. I am going to do another commentary for you guys. My first video I did the other day was received really well, so I thought I'd do another one of these to help you guys out. I got a lot of feedback, so thank you very much if you did give me some feedback. I've had a look at that, and I'm trying to, just as you guys are trying to improve your game by watching my videos, I am trying to improve my video making ability, my commentary abilities by reading your feedback and stuff like that. So this video hopefully will be a bit better than my last one. Personally, I didn't think it was that great, so I'm going to try and incorporate some of the concepts that you guys suggested in this one. First things first, this video again is going to be Ezra Bar, who I used for my first video. Now, the reason I'm watching his replay again is because the only way I can watch replays at the moment is if I download an MP4 format of the replay. So I can't actually do a commentary of a replay file. Not yet. In a few weeks I'll be able to, but at the moment this is the only way I can do it. So what I'm doing is I'm just downloading the replays that he has uploaded to his YouTube. If anyone else has done this, or for any other reason can upload an MP4 of their replay, then I'll gladly take a look at those replays. But for now, this guy is the only way I can review replays. So I'm sorry if that seems a bit unfair. In the future, I will be changing who I can use. Please do some if you have uploaded your videos. If I can get my hands on an MP4, then please do send that to me. But anyway, let's get into the commentary. This game, Ezra Bar has chosen Shaco. Okay, Shaco is a good champ. Shaco is probably, I did a Shaco guide in one of my previous videos. You can take a look at that as well and conjoin to this one. I'm probably going to be doing this video explaining, if I were this guy, what I'd be thinking, what I'd be looking to do. This is probably going to be a bit very specific towards Shaco as well. So this may not be very comprehensive for overall jungling, but very comprehensive for Shaco playing. Don't worry, I won't do all my videos as very champion specific, and there will be more videos in the future, so that shouldn't be too big a deal, hopefully. But with Shaco's very high skill cap, I believe that I've got quite a lot I can probably say regarding that, so hopefully that's okay. So let's look at the picks so far. Right, on his team, his bot lane, he has okay, so Shaco has a Annie support, apparently. That's pretty interesting. Obviously must be a career meta or something like that. Apparently, this guy was AFK in Champ Select, so he got random Annie, but he says he's going to go support, which is pretty good. The pick doesn't really matter, there's communication. Honestly, I'd rather have some random Annie than, like Flame, and then be forced into a support role and then be like, you guys are going to lose bot, I'm trash support. So, it's not actually that bad. As far as it goes, Annie could be a lot worse as well. So there's that. The bot lane with Annie with her stun. Annie with her stun should be actually pretty easy for Shaco to gank for, and they're against Janna and Graves. Janna pre-6 is a pretty easy target as well for Shaco, and Shaco is very good at camping lanes. He can gank very creatively, so look for him to he's going to be blue side, which is the left side, so he can actually be running around the enemy's blue buff. They'll be purple side, so blue buff by a bot, run around there and like jump over the wall and gank that way, because that will be a pretty safe route to go because it won't be warded. And they can really destroy this Janna early. Even after 6, they're going to have a lot of burst to take her down, so there's that. Mid lane, Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate is a bit of a pain in the ass for Shaco because he, with his ult, reveals Shaco in stealth. So if you're ever trying to escape and Twisted Fate just puts his ult up, or like if he puts his ult up in a team fight, that really does screw over your deceive completely. It makes you makes your life very hard. But as far as the laning goes, TF is actually very easy to gank. He doesn't have any escape. All he's got is his stun to like deter you a little bit, but that isn't really enough to stop Shaco from camping your lane. And mid's a very easy lane for him to camp. However, it's very difficult to gank for Katarina because she doesn't have any CC whatsoever. All she's got is high burst, so it could be iffy, but Shaco's damage, his gank potential anyway, should be more than enough to compensate for Katarina's lack of CC. Garen versus Renekton top lane. This matchup is going to be a fairly skill matchup. They're both very similar champs. They're very good early game, a decent mid game, and they're not very good inherently late game, but depending how their early mid game goes will depend how strong they are late game. I would put this advantage probably towards Renekton more, because I think as a champion he's more useful because his kit is a bit better. I mean, he has CC, unless you want to count silence as CC, it kind of is, but it's not really the same thing as a stun like Renekton's W is. Renekton also has a gap closer with his E. So it should be very easy for Shaco to gank top, provided this Renekton doesn't start losing really hard. Garen could be a pretty easy target for that. And his jungle matchup is Eve. That's pretty interesting. You don't really see Eve very often in the jungle, and there's a good reason for that actually, because she's not very good. Well, I don't want to rule up. She's probably viable in solo queue. If you're good with her, I'm sure you can play her in the jungle. But the reason is she doesn't really live up to her potential very much as like a bursty assassin when you stick her in the jungle. It's the same with jungle Diana compared to mid Diana. Anytime you stick a champion in the jungle, their potential is capped slightly because they're not open to they're not going to get as much money or farm unless someone gets very, very fed early. So if this Eve just like wanders from lane to lane and just gets kill after kill after kill, then she's not going to be particularly useful mid to late game. However, as far as this Shaco's ability to actually invade Eve, it should be pretty high. Eve should get pretty low when she's jungling. She's not a very efficient jungler. She's just a very good ganker. So he's got that potential to look for as well. Now, let's move on into the game. Actually, before I do that, before we get into the game, I'll just have a quick talk about the runes and masteries which Shaco should be using. Like I said, I do have a guide in my other videos I'll link to in the description or something, which will detail the runes and masteries. But this guy should be going, when you're playing Shaco, just as a quick overview, 21-9 is pretty much standard. There are some other several, like you could go 19-11 for example, or you could go 21-09 if you're kind of new with Shaco and you think you have mana issues, because he can have mana issues if you're not very experienced with him. But he should be going 21-9. His runes should be looking something like, well, Shaco's rune choices are just crazy. You can have move speed quints, you can have armor pen, AD, you can, as long as they're very offensive runes, so you have a lot of armor pen, you have armor pen, AD, attack speed blues are pretty good on him. You can get attack speed yellows as well, although armor yellows are just fine there. But again, just refer to my guide, because it can be very tricky. And he's got smite and exhaust. I think that's a pretty good summoner choice to go for. He could be getting ignite, he could be getting ghost similarly. My personal favourite is actually exhaust as well. It should be making these early games very, very strong because he's got some extra CC and his lanes kind of lack a bit of CC. With the exception of Renekton, sorry, no one really has a reliable kind of stun. Annie does if she kind of gets her stun rolling, but if Shaco's just, ganking an opportunity, then Annie's probably, chances are she might not have that stun proc, so that exhaust is going to help her out there. So, now that I've said that, let us move on to the game. Skin War is easily won by the enemy team, so this doesn't look very good for Shaco to begin with. He may be losing this game here, I'm sorry to say. It's pretty much inevitable, 3 skins versus 1, and that skin is a free skin, so that doesn't even count, unfortunately. Oh boy, this could be ugly, this could be rough. Let me just skip ahead here, sorry. Right. Now, the early game is very, very important for Shaco. What I'm looking here is I'm going to see what route he's going to run. Against Eve, he could easily invade her, which means, and Eve will be starting at blue, 90% sure that this Eve is going to be starting at blue. So if he starts at red and then does his blue and invades Eve at her red, he should get there while she's there and he could easily kill her there. If not, then he could be looking for like a level 2 gank mid maybe, or just counter ganking top, because Eve is most likely going to gank top or mid after she's got her red buff. So there's that to think of. with Shaco's box, they last for 1 minute, so you want to be putting them down on. Okay, he's not doing. The Shaco isn't doing his box positions correctly. He needs to be. You put a box down on race if he's starting at red buff. Put them down on race at about 43 seconds because they last for a minute. Race spawn at 140, and then the reason you put it 3 seconds after the minute they spawn is because then it gives your boxes a few seconds to actually work. So he needs to. Ideally, he wants to put a box down race at like 143, and then be stacking boxes at red buff. He'll get 3 boxes down before he's run out of time. But he's doing a slightly different route. He's probably just not very experienced with Shaco. It's not the end of the world, to be honest. Okay, this is very interesting. He's getting invaded here. A lot of Shacos think this is the end of the world when they get invaded. It really, really isn't. As long as he doesn't give up hope here, he'll be fine. Okay, this is good. This is really good. This is what you need to do. If you get invaded on Shaco or on any jungler, just go to the other buff. Don't worry about it. Just go to the other buff and start there. Now, Shaco doesn't even need to stack boxes because if he puts 1 box down, then he can take the buff with Smite on his own. Let's see what he does here instead. He's getting a bit of help from Renekton, so that's helped him out a little bit, but yeah. Is he going to use Smite? Yeah, he uses Smite. He should be using Smite to last here. If you hover over the tooltip of Smite, it'll tell you how much damage your Smite actually does. And if you click on the creep, you'll see how much health it has. You want to time your Smite at the same time as your auto attack swing is coming in. That would put it below the health that Smite does, if that makes sense. That should make sense. That way, there's just no chance of it getting stolen. It's not a big deal here though because there's like no one. Eve is not going to be in that bush waiting to steal it away with her Smite, so it's not that big a deal. But that's just something you should be doing, especially when it comes to things like securing Dragon or Baron or something like that. Now, because he did get screwed over with this invade, he's going to have to adapt his path. He needs red buff really to gank, I think, else you're not very effective. And what's it? Okay. A general rule when you're jungling with Shaco as well, you want to put your box down, wait for the box to feel all the creeps, and then for the creeps to start attacking your box. That way, you don't lose any health. Like, he's lost 200 health here. He would have lost at maybe 50, if that, if he'd have let his box take the aggro. So that is a good tip when you're jungling Shaco. Right here, he's got his Smite up. He could be taking this blue. He doesn't need to stack his boxes, but this isn't a huge deal, so he's just doing it this way, but he's going to lose a lot of health because he's now tanking these double golems. Taking the small one out first is, well, I don't think it's a big deal whether you take the small one or the big one first, because if you take the small one, then that will die faster, so you don't have that attacking you. If you take the big one, then you've got more things attacking you for longer. But if you take the small one, then the big one's attacking you for longer. So I don't know. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So something to note as well. When you have blue buff, again, he should have smited that at the right time, but he didn't. That could have been very risky because Eve could have been at that red buff. So that was a bit risky. But right here, he's just got his red, so now he wants to gank. This is what I'd be looking at. I'd be looking for somewhere to make the most of this red buff. Like I said, TF is a pretty easy gank, and this one here. This gank pretty much went as well as it possibly could, because he put the box down in a bit of a crap position. He should have put it slightly down so that TF would actually run into it, but TF didn't run into it. Renekton's just fed first blood, which is a bit bad. It's very easy to die to Renekton, to Garen early, but at the same time, if you're paying attention, then that shouldn't really happen. Renekton's strong enough early. But just talking a bit about that gank, if he had exhausted early, he would have definitely blown that TS flash. I don't think he actually did that. And that would have given Cam more opportunity to help him out. Maybe even got the kill if TF flashed a bit late, thinking he wouldn't need to, which happens quite a lot. But anyway, now that he doesn't have his blue buff, this guy needs to spend a lot less mana in the jungle. At level 4, he should have put another point into his boxes, which helps him jungle more effectively, more efficiently. Eve's ganking bot right here. He needs to stop these wraiths right now and just peg it down to the bottom lane. Counter ganking is a very, very strong asset. Although it looked as though that guy kind of got blown up, that Annie, so maybe there wasn't much he could have done. But they were kind of low there, so he could have been looking out for that. I would personally be going up to these walls right here because the chances are that Eve is going up to the wall. She's either looping around for another gank bot or she's going up to the wall. So I would go check the walls for starters. Because if you check those walls and Eve's not there, then the chances are she's either recalled or she's bot. So if she's not there, you can tell your bot, be careful. If she is there, then your bot doesn't have to be careful. So that actually helps your lanes out. And this pink ward here, put that down by Renekton, is not very good because it's not in the bush. That pink ward does not see any wards that are in that bush. So if it's in the bush, then it would see it all. And this gang has just got disaster written all over it. This is a forced gang. That was really obvious by Renekton. Garen knows that Shaco's there, just by Renekton's play. He may even have it warded, like I say, because that was a bad spot. Yeah, and this is just bad. He's lost like 600 health just face checking a Garen. Never face check a Garen, obviously, but alright, that's lucky. Garen warded where that pink ward will see it. And that pink ward now sees Eve, which is really good. But because Shaco's lost a lot of health here, he can't even bait the counter gank. I think with the exhaust, he could have baited a counter gank onto Eve and they would have been able to kill Eve, exhausting Garen, so that Garen wouldn't have been able to... this Renekton, that wasn't a very smart play at all. Shaco can't really do anything here. Renekton just needs to be a bit more careful. It's not the end of the world, but these are just things which you shouldn't be doing. He shouldn't be doing that. Something else that Shaco should have done in that gank as well was he should have walked around. He shouldn't have just walked up the bush and sat in that up the river, sorry, and sat in that bush and waited for Renekton to engage. He should have come around the side and jumped over the wall, and then they should have like collapsed on him, you know, like a Garen sandwich, and like engaged together rather than forcing an engage. So this is Shaco's first back. He's running. He's at his blue buff now. And his build so far, he's building right. He's rushing a Mad Reds or yeah, he's rushing his Mad Reds, which is what he should be doing, which is going to help him clear faster. He's pretty behind at the moment. He should be taking this blue off. He's lucky that Cat doesn't need this blue because this is going to help him get back into the game. He's used a lot of mana, but again, it doesn't matter because he's getting his blue buff, so that's not a big deal at all. He's level 5. He's about a level behind at the moment. Like I said, as soon as you get the second buff, you should be at level 6. And like I said before, he should be waiting for these. You see, like, it's 50-50 if you're attacking and the box is attacking when during the fear, it's 50-50 as to who the walls reset onto. And so, you saw there that the walls reset onto the box, and look how much health he's on. He's on full health. He didn't pop a health potion or anything like that. He's got no life still. He just didn't take any damage because the box tanked it for him. Right now, this could be a good opportunity to gank actually. Cat is low enough for TF. TF is going to get greedy and want this cat right here. Shaco doesn't have a red buff though, but he does have his exhaust. So that makes the gank more likely to succeed. But he is wasting a bit of time. Like, if I were this guy, I'd be going right now. I'd just go because he's sitting in that bush wasting too much time. And I would not have put that box down. I would have just ran up to him and tried to hit him. He didn't need to put the box down. He just needed to do as much damage as possible. He's chasing this guy pretty hard, and there's no play to be made. Just steal the race or something and run away. Just smite those. Yep, good. This is kind of looking a bit bad for Shaco's team though, because now people are dying because of that early gank bot. Bot is now weaker than their bot lane, so he really needs to start like switching pressure, you know, back into their bot lane's favour. And they do have an Annie support as well, so it's not looking very good. It's not very meta, so to speak. So that could be playing in this Tristana's mind a bit. When you start, if you can see chat here. Tristana says, "Yeah, we're fucked." He's given up because he's dying. Dying is the worst thing you can do in solo queue because people rage, people give up. Tristana has given up, so she's already not going to play as well as she could be. Now, regardless if she even believes the words that she said, she probably hasn't. She's probably just venting and like whining a little bit. But it doesn't matter if she believes it. She said it, so you know, psychologically, she doesn't realise it, but she's already not playing as well as she could be, and it has an effect on your whole team as well. Whenever you say things like that in chat, your whole team starts to get a bit annoyed. Like this Shaco is typing. Everyone is typing way too much right now. They're in a bad position. They need to be focusing on like stop dying, stop feeding and stuff like that. But they're just typing. Like right here, he's standing still typing, which is, he's not raging or anything like that, so it's not that bad. But at the same time, it's just he can't put a lot of focus into his game because he's focused on typing. It's not his fault, but he just should just ignore everything and just put people in ignore if they start whining too much. It's very frustrating. I know it's something I really get angry about. People who just whine. That was a misclick. He meant to click in the bush and he clicks on the mini map and so ran out of the bush. But this is what I mean. Annie is not charging her stun, or doesn't have her stun, and this TFO has just seen everything, and this just is a doomed game. Oh my goodness, this is awful. He wasted time there, and then he's just getting ganked anyway. Cat is here at least, which is good. And this Jan has an Oracle's blimey, that's pretty impressive. And this is a very peculiar choice of his clone. Okay, that achieved literally nothing. The thing is with your clone is that the difference between a good Shaco player and a great Shaco player is how they use their clones. There was just nothing there. There was no point for using that clone whatsoever. Like, the clone spawns whatever health you're on, and he was on like 50 health, so he just ran at them with 50 health. I'm pretty sure these guys had like an idea, maybe this isn't the real Shaco, he's running at us on 50 health. And so, they weren't fooled by it whatsoever, and then the clone just got insta-gibbed, so it just fed 50 gold to Graves, but yeah, that whole situation was just a bit sticky. I mean, TF is pretty good at those kind of things. He hasn't really put any pressure on any lanes, but at the same time, his lanes are just losing one-on-one, so it's really, really difficult. In my opinion, Shaco should not be paying too much attention to this top lane right now. Renekton just needs to smart up and stop feeding. I know that's easier said than done, and in solo queue, people don't do that, but it's just, I don't think there's much that he can really do, because his Garen can probably 2-on-1 them, although if he's going to dive, okay. Garen's diving, so this could be a really good opportunity here. Oh, and that box, it was a pretty clutch box right there. That was a good box that he put down. And he's dead, holy crap, he just died. And he's dead, yeah. Well, I thought that was going well, but then he kind of got pooped on a little bit, and by a little bit I mean he got shat on completely by that Garen. He ran in the bush and Garen just one-shot him pretty much. This is what I mean. He can just 2-on-1. Garen is so far ahead in levels, kind of in items, although not overly. I think he's only got a phase and a chain vest, but yeah, it's just not worth it. He should be focusing on other lanes. Working towards the late game. They're obviously not doing very well early game, so when you do bad early game, you do bad mid game as well. It's inevitable. So they need to be focusing on the late game, and the late game is the AD carry, so he should be camping a bit bot right here. This is kind of what happens. If you're losing early game, just try and get your AD fed. It's kind of like the only, option you really have, the only choice you have, is to get AD fed. Cat really got a double kill top there, like a minute ago or something. The reason I don't really comment on stuff like that, it's not because I miss it, but it's because I'm not here to comment on Caterin's game. I didn't really have any relevance onto Shaco, so if that ever happens, that's just, I'm not ignoring it, I'm just, it's not relevant. But, like I say, this guy should probably be focusing more on bot. He should be, he's had this ward in his inventory, he's buying, pretty correct items. By the way, the reason I haven't said anything about his items is because they're not wrong. So, yeah, he needs to be putting down his wards. He's had this ward in his inventory for a very, very long time, he's not put it anywhere. Wards are a bit iffy versus Eve jungle, because, he can't really ward for his laners because that ward won't see when Eve comes to gank, because she'll just run past the ward invisible, and, it won't see her. He should be, though, warding in her jungle, because when she is jungling, she'll come out stealth, and, he'll see her there, and then you can kind of predict where she's going to go. You won't know where. Okay, Eva's just showed bot, right now. He should be running down bot. Everyone should be running down bot. They had 4-man mid. Instead, they're going to tower dive. Okay, this is that was a manly tower dive. I don't know whether that was, okay, that was, he shouldn't have, stole that kill, obviously. You know, Sydney kills is never... Well, Sydney kills on Shaco is not that bad, you know, not that bad an idea, because Shaco can snowball really hard, but he's not going to snowball this game because we're 15 minutes in already and he hasn't done it. Like, they're losing too hard early game for Shaco to snowball. He needs to be donating these kills over to Tristana. I mean, it's not that big, you know, he didn't do it on purpose, but it's still... And he gets a double kill there when these kills should really be donated to other people, but it's not his fault. That wasn't his fault anyway. The tower dive TF was probably something he should have avoided, but that was just a kill, so I'm right here. Katarina is too busy saying that Shaco, and Annie is too busy whining as well to realise that TF used ult. They had TF ult on their head, and that Renekton had got chased down. So they were just standing in mid farming, and they could have saved Renekton. That was just like another point case where you chat, you lose. Okay, this is why Katarina got nerfed. I mean, she got shut down in the lane to the extent that she didn't do anything at all, and then she roamed top and got a double kill, and now she's 100 to 1ing, 100 to 0ing TF, just like that, and TF has done a lot more. He's played a lot better than this Katarina in this game, so if ever there was a excuse to play Flavor of the Month champ, really good to see Shaco. Well played, my friend. If ever there was a reason to play Flavor of the Month champions, there it is right there. It's because they're OP as hell. But yeah, this is pretty interesting right now, because as far as the commentary goes, it's a bit... It's not as black and white anymore. It's not just saying, I can't really just say he should be ganking bot, he should be ganking mid, because look at the lanes. The lanes are in a complete state. All I can say is that he should be trying to make plays or like denying plays. Look at the map. There is literally a grand total, okay, of 0 wards on the map right now for his team. He does have an Annie jungle, Annie support. So, yeah, that might be part of it, but it's not really an excuse. He's bought 1 ward this game, and we're at 18 minutes in. He should be buying more wards, especially if you're not having a very good early game, and you're someone like Shaco, who is an assassin, who really needs to be strong. If you're not strong, then you need to be helping out in the ways you can, which are things like wards and aura items like Age of the Legion. That was actually a really good gank right there. Although, see, this is something that gank was really good for a number of reasons. First off, it was a really good he seized a good opportunity because that TF had no flash. So he just exhausted, and then his whole team collapsed on them. And secondly, he died at a time that they could then make the most of an opportunity to do something else. In this instance, his team could have taken that tower, but they killed the Twisted Fate, and then everyone ran away again. They all just scattered, like nobody's business. They all just ran away. Oh, good job, team. We killed Twisted Fate. Let's pack up our bags and leave. When really, if you're behind, you need to make the most of every opportunity you can. They should have pushed that tower down. Instead, they didn't. They all just went their merry way, and I don't even know what they were doing. I don't even know what happened. Eve got a double kill. This is very risky. Okay, Grace has no balls. They should have just finished off that tower and killed Shaco. And Janna is... Okay. I'm going to ask for this replay, and I'm going to stick that on my channel, because that was probably the worst Janna flash ult combo I've seen probably ever. Holy crap. Okay, that Janna literally flashed behind Shaco, ran in front of him, and ulted him away, instead of flashing behind Shaco and ulting him back into his team, which was pretty much pretty much a guaranteed anyway. It was an unnecessary play to begin with, and then she just cocked it up completely. Whatever, it's always funny to see something like that. You got to see the kind of funny sides to games like this. But this must be very, very depressing for Shaco, because he's not doing anything, he can't do anything, and he's not going to be able to do anything as far as you know, team fighting or something like that, or killing people, which is what Shaco is really built for because he's so far behind. So anyway, in my opinion right now, Shaco should have an Oracles. He should have had an Oracles, well, it's difficult to say, but because he has a very high chance of dying with that Oracles, which is when you shouldn't really be getting it. If you think you're going to die, then don't buy an Oracles, but, you know, his team really needs him for that. This is going to be a free steal, yeah. Never do drag when you don't have your jungler around, because if the enemy jungler is anywhere near, then it's a free steal. That was well played by Shaco. He saw that that was probably going to be a free. Okay. That was much, much better. That kill there, okay, yeah, and in chat he even says happy. I hope Kat is happy because she was whining about you stealing kills, and then Shaco donated that one really nicely. This was a bit of... Okay, I'm going to rewind this team fight a bit to talk about it a bit more because I was joking around. But let's just see how it ends out first. Okay, so Triss gets a few kills here, which is really good. That fight was really good for the team. I'm just going to rewind to the beginning of that fight. So we see, I can tell you what this guy does wrong or right. So he's just stolen drag right here, 2105. And, this team's looking to fight. This Shaco goes very, very, very balls deep right here. He deceives blindly into nothing. Like, he can't see what he's deceiving into. He uses his ult, which it wasn't a bad time to ult, because, you know, there was no other real time to use it, but, yeah, that was, never really deceive into Fog of War, because, unless you're 100% sure of what's there, because what he did was he jumped in, and then, you know, he was like, where's the party at, guys? Jumps in, here's the party, and then 4 people collapsed on him, and it was like, this isn't my scene, I don't like this party, but it was too late, they just killed him. So, it's risky, but at the same time, it wasn't very good, but they blew a lot for him. Like, Garen used his ult, and they used a lot of attention focusing him down when really he's kind of, you know, he was in a crappy position. He's a bit useless. No offense, obviously, but he's 22 minutes in and he's got Phase, Wriggles, Zerkagrees, and sorry, he does have an amplifying time now on Elixir of Fortitude, but still that doesn't really help him too much. But yeah, so then the enemy team using so much focus on him meant that Tristana had more like free will with the team fight, and she could do more in that sense, and she picked up the double, so that fight actually worked out really well. Now, what I do want to say about this build real quick is that I'm just going to pause this again. Sorry, we're at 2240 now, and he's got, like I said before, he's got Zerkagrees, Wriggles, Phage, Amplifying Time, and Elixir of Fortitude. He's looking to build towards his Triforce, most presumably. But really, I don't think he's thinking about his build too much. The enemy team, I can't actually look at the scoreboard, but there's TF, Garen, Evelyn, who I believe is building AD anyway. A very similar build to what the Shaco's going. Evelyn, Graves, and Janna. So don't think about it. You never want to like counter buy support. There's no need because they're not a carry. But Garen, Eve, and Graves are all doing physical damage. Because of the only reason I include Eve into that's because I believe she's building that way. But this Garen is fed as well because he's been taking a huge dump on this Renekton's chest. So he's going to be a concern. Especially considering he's going to be spinning around in circles, and if Shaco is anywhere near that, he's going to be taking a lot of damage. Shaco doesn't even need to be the focus. If he's around Garen when he's spinning around, he's going to be taking a butt ton of damage. Graves, similarly, with his Q and his R, he doesn't even need to be focusing Shaco. If he finds himself in a bad position, he's going to take a lot of damage. But the chances are that he is going to be taking a lot of focus from Graves. I'll mention that bit in a few seconds, but Eve is not really a big deal because the jungler is not overly that fed, but it's something to consider anyway. And TF, this is where he's kind of got two options right here. I think, personally, if I were this Shaco, I would be building an Age of the Legion right here. I would have got a Phage. Maybe I would have got Moby Boots, but that's kind of like my personal preference, and that's not necessarily a good idea because, you know, he's not really roaming around the map getting loads of kills, but at the same time Moby Boots do help you split push safer, and when you're behind, split pushing is something which you can do, so there is that to consider as well. But as far as split pushing goes, Zerkagreaves isn't that bad choice because you have more attack speed to actually clear the minion waves, so you're kind of doing it faster. But so yeah, I would have got Phage and then I would have built towards my Aegis of the Legion. That's because he's not overly useful right here, but he is, at least he can contribute to his team with an Aegis. And if Tristana is really his only hope of winning, then it may be a good idea for him to get a Zeke's Herald as well, which is the aura which gives attack speed and lifesteal. That is kind of, you know, unless all of their eggs were in this Tristana's basket, that's not a euphemism, then, you know, if that were the case, then Zeke's might be a good idea, but I think that might be a bit overkill, but if he did do that, that wouldn't necessarily be that bad. But, I think Shaco right now needs to be thinking about, okay, I'm not that strong, in team fights, what do I want to achieve? Personally, I would be thinking, I'm just going to jump on this Graves' face and annoy the crap out of him, and hopefully, with my exhaust as well, I'll be cutting his damage down by quite a lot, which is kind of why I would want to jump on Graves' face and not TF's face, because the exhaust is going to do more harm to Graves than it is to TF. Similarly, I think TF will be a really easy focus for this Katarina and Renekton, because he doesn't have an escape at all. Unless you're like an Asian TF, then you're really easily focused in team fights. And this Katarina is an assassin and is pretty fed at the moment, so there's that. And going back to Graves as well, you want to be jumping on Graves. So if you think that's what your purpose is going to be in team fights, if that's what you want to do, then just build towards that. You know, ignore the fact that TF, they've got like any magic damage. Just build armor so that you can jump on this Graves' face and do whatever you can. You know, this Shaco is not stronger than Graves. He's not going to be able to one-on-one him. I'd be very surprised if he could one-on-one him. Graves must have DC'd for 20 seconds for that to happen. So he just really needs to buy time for his Tristana. He could finish this game, you know, like 3-10-10 or something, you know, and just in the team fight only getting 1 assist and 1 death, and that assist is on Graves, and that will be him doing his job, because if he can achieve that, he's taking someone out to fight so that his team can perform better, and he's not very valuable at the moment because he's not overly strong. So that's what I'd be thinking about. So I'd be building towards achieving that, which means I'd be getting armor, health. Randomings would be a good idea because it would slow his attack speed, so he wouldn't be able to kill you as fast. Guardian Angels is pretty good as well, but again, just look at my guide if you want to see some item builds. Anyway, I ranted on about that a bit too much, so I'm going to go back and live it here. And where are we? I've kind of lost track a little bit, but again, he needs to be warding Dragon. Someone needs to be warding Baron, sorry. And Annie is not warding, so he should be warding. If you're like, oh, this is the support's job to ward. If they take Baron and you're like, support, why haven't you warded? It's a pretty crappy excuse. Don't take that red buff, Shaco. Be a good boy. Okay. I'll talk about that in a sec. If you have not, if Baron isn't warded, they take it, and you're just blaming support, then that's not a good enough excuse. It's only 75 gold. Just ward Baron. Seriously, just don't blame OMG, noob support, no wards. Just buy wards yourself. I know that's very circle jerk, kind of obvious stuff, but really, wards save lives. So you should be looking to do that. Just a quick word on taking that red buff though. Actually, right here, Eve is owning Annie and he's not paying any attention. He's just sitting there doing wolves. He could have gone up to help that Annie. He could have killed that Eve. He wasn't paying any attention to the map. You need to pay attention to the map when you're Shaco. And right here, he engaged this Eve with his E, which is what he's... Oh, nice. He got the kill, so it's not that bad. But he engaged Eve with his E, which means that he had no slow for when she ran away. You don't need to use your E. You save your E for when they run away, when they've used like, you know, when you need to close distance on someone, then you use your E because it's like a ranged slow. But he had red buff as well, so he really didn't need to use that to begin with. Which made it almost made Eve get away in that instance, but she didn't, so it's not that big a deal. But finally, I want to say, I've been trying to say for a while, but stuff keeps happening. He should not have taken that red buff. He should have given it to Tristan. Tristan is going to carry this game a lot harder than he is. He didn't need to take that red buff. Triss needs to Triss needs to kite this Garen around, because Garen is particularly fed from this Renekton, so anything to do to help Triss out with kiting Garen is going to be very useful, especially considering Garen. One of the reasons Garen hasn't played so much, especially in competitive play, well, he's never played in competitive play, is because he falls off really hard, because he has no CC. He's strong mid game, he's strong early game, but late game, you just kite the crap out of Garen. There's nothing he can do about it. When AD carries get stronger late game, they're just going to shred through him anyway. Doesn't matter how tanky he is. ADs are going to be able to deal with him no problem, and he's not going to be able to one-shot people anymore. His damage will fall off. So, yeah. Basically, you know, give Triss red buff. Triss needs this red buff. And right here, if someone had an Oracles, they could be, like, baiting this Baron maybe. I'm not sure they're entirely, you know, stronger, but if they did stomp the Baron wards, they need to be very careful here. If this cat blows up, this is a lost team fight. Alright, cat's dead. These guys are just going to have to damage control here. Renekton dies as well. This could be very ugly. Alright, so they lost. See, poor vision meant that two of them died and they lost the tower, and they're probably going to lose this one too. If they don't lose this tower, then it will be very surprising. Their team should go and do Baron right here. As soon as they killed those two people and got that tower down, they should have rushed over to Baron and took that, because there's nothing this team can do to stop them whatsoever. Their strongest character, Katarina, is dead. Renekton is also dead, so there's three of them. And so there's no way they're going to stop them. And right here, hey, look, they can hear me apparently, so they're apparently deciding to do Baron here, which is, like I said, this is the right decision. This is what the enemy team should be doing. It's going to be very interesting to see if they can do anything to stop them. They've got no wards on them, and Janna has an Oracle, so they're not going to be able to get any vision on it. Unless the enemy team shoots themselves in the foot. This is a free Baron. Can Shaco steal it? Man mode activated. He takes the Baron. Well played, Shaco. Stuff like that. 'Cause I'm a boss, indeed, Shaco. Indeed. And it's stuff like that which kind of turns games around. They need to just kind of run away here, though. Garen's low, but they don't have enough to take them out. As far as that TF goes, he should have flashed on the Katarina, because I'm pretty sure that Renekton was pretty dead, and yeah. I'm not sure why Shaco got an assist. I think TF must have run into a box like a little while ago. But they're just chasing people down. The enemy team must have got really like over aggressive and stuff like that. And just, you know, ballsed it up a little bit. This is momentum. This is what wins games, brother. When you're behind and you can get something like a Baron steal off and then pick up a few kills afterwards, like this cat just did, carry bag cat, then, you know, they're going to push and take a few towers here, which is more than the enemy team has managed to achieve despite how far ahead they are. Eve decides it's a better idea to farm bot, which I don't know why. She's probably really mad and raging at her team, which is partly why people can feel these comebacks, because people on the enemy team just start raging, start getting mad. And they got a free in here. They took down 2, 3 maybe towers mid, I'm not entirely sure, and an inhibitor, which is really good. Shaco needs to watch behind him. He's not paying any attention, but okay. Triss shot that away. That's cool. I thought the enemy team would maybe be chasing that up. This could be very, very risky because the enemy team is right here. He needs to be positioning his clone right behind this dragon so that he makes the most out of his passive. He got drag and he died. That's definitely worth it. We'll see what else happens here though. Nothing. Okay, that was good. That was worth it. This Katarina's flaming Annie, but in all honesty, if Annie didn't do what she did, then they would have just stopped Shaco at dragon. It was bad chasing Annie anyway. They should have just gone for Shaco. Renekton got caught out here and now he's dead, which was just a dumb death. But Eve's getting very ballsy. That was a wasted exhaust on Shaco's behalf. There wasn't anything to do there. I've already mentioned about build what I believe Shaco should be building again. You know, like I said, he's focused on this Triforce. He doesn't really need the damage because if you watch this game, well, okay, you're watching this game, so that was a dumb sentence, but by watching this game, you just see how little, you know, how many times has Shaco jumped on someone and needed to like DPS him down really fast. Like, in all honesty, I can't remember the last time Shaco punched an enemy. Like, that's not what the game's evolved into. He hasn't fought anyone because that's just not what's happening. You know, he was opportunistic by stealing Baron, and really his team is just kind of taking control of the game. So he should find himself other uses, like building tanky. So Triss has marked up a kill bot, which is very good. They should be I think they should push out that bot. They've got a minion wave pushing out bot. They've also got a minion wave pushing out top, but because of the position of their team, the fact that they've got 4 around that blue buff at bot, they should just go bot. For some reason, okay, they want to push top, but they're all around bot. It would have made more sense just to go there, but they're pushing top. Whatever, I suppose. That's fine too. But this is what I mean. They've got this inhib down, which means that their mid lane's going to be pushing very hard. And so it's difficult for people to defend towers. This is bad for Eve. Should not have done this. She's going to get killed. Yeah, this is where games start to finish, really. Shaco Clan picking up a kill, very nice. Cat needs to be careful, bad positioning on her behalf. And everyone's running away. I have no idea why the enemy team aren't chasing this fight. This is what I mean, like what I was saying. Shaco has like done nothing. Like, he can't do anything because he'll die instantly. I'm sorry to keep ragging on about this Shaco's, you know, how weak he is, but it's just the way it is. Trish actually overjumped there, but TF got too ballsy. That wasn't a kill steal either, because, you know, they just needed to kill that TF really quickly. Eve could be dead here as well if she's not careful. They could play this really well. Shaco inadvertently just brained them. That's pretty good. If you deceive, like, where people don't expect you to go, you just brain people all day. People never learn where Shaco goes because they overthink it. They're like, you could just deceive in the direction where you would be going, like in a straight line or something, and they won't. They'll overthink. They just give up as soon as a Shaco deceives. They're just like, fuck it. I don't know where he's gone. He could have deceived behind me. He could have deceived over the wall. He could be trying to juke me. He could be trying to like double juke me by not juking me, and they just give up. Like, so yeah, people are just dumb. It's really easy to brain people with your Q. The more you play Shaco, the more you'll know what people fall for. He's built his Triforce, so now it'll be very interesting to see what he goes for. He's gonna get some health. This wouldn't be a bad idea at all. He needs to be tankier. Okay. That wasn't a bad buy, Giant's Belt. Maybe he should be he's got another 4 pot, but looking to close this game out. This is actually a very, very wise buy on Shaco's behalf, getting elixirs. His whole team, ideally, should have elixirs right now, because they want to close this game out. They want to do more to just kind of push towers down, so they need to be as strong as possible, and elixirs really help for these kind of situations. Renekton 1-11-4. Having said that, he's actually kind of useful because his team are blowing a lot to kill him, and now he's got a GA, they're going to blow even more, so never blame your teammates for having a bad score, because they're probably still being useful, and this could be very ugly. We'll see what happens. But Triss is way too strong right now. She's positioning really well, and by that I mean the enemy carries are positioning like trash. They're like, see, like this 1-11 Renekton is just very useful because he's tanky. This is the only moment Shaco's been able to jump in is when 3 people have died and he's mopping up kills. Because that's just the way it is. He's just the way the game's going. This is kind of what Shaco does. If you don't build tanky and you're not fed early, then, you know, that's what happens. It's pretty shocking that the enemy team are losing this game. Tristana is just I thought Kat would carry this game. She did some smart things, but Triss is just too strong. Triss is a really strong late game carry. Okay, apparently that's the end of the recording. I think we all know how that game is going to end out, though. So yeah, that's pretty much. There's that commentary done. I did say I'd do a losing game commentary, but that game actually was pretty much a losing game. Like I'm pretty surprised that they won that game. They probably shouldn't have won that game. Shaco himself, he actually finished 8-3-6, I believe that's what his score was, which is a really, really strong score. But in all honesty, no offense to Shaco, he didn't do it. Really, he did nothing in that game. Like the impact that he had was very, very, very small. If he plays like that every single game, again, I sound really harsh here. I don't mean to sound harsh, but whatever. I kind of need to be harsh for people to learn. I hope this helps the viewers more if I just slay on this guy really hard. But yeah, if he plays like this every game, he's gonna lose a lot of games because he can't rely on his team to carry him like that. I'm not saying he played like he wasn't useless, and he actually didn't make too many mistakes. As in, it wasn't really mistakes that he made, it's just things that he didn't do. Like, he didn't have any impact on the game whatsoever. He didn't have a negative impact on the game, overly, but the fact that he didn't have a positive one kind of means that he did have a negative one, if that makes sense. That's a kind of weird concept, but in solo queue, that's how I believe it goes. If you're not having a positive impact on the game, you don't deserve to win. I've won games where I've been like 4, 5, 14. Like, I've had a worse score than that Shaco playing Shaco. But I've done a lot more because maybe I'm tankier, or like I've split pushed, I've got towers, something like that. He didn't really do anything. He didn't split push, anything like that. So, one thing I'll say as well, which is kind of funny, is that Renekton, who fed like an absolute truck, despite that happening, he actually kind of played well. I know that sounds really odd, and in solo queue, you guys might be sitting there thinking, bloody hell, Foxtrot, what the hell are you talking about? No, this guy did not play well. He went 1 for 11. How can you not see? He's 1 for 11. It's right there, written in the stars. Well, unfortunately, it's not really the case, and this is why you shouldn't flame people in solo queue either, just because they start playing poorly. Because he built tanky, and he was still useful. Like, even if they just focused him, because he was tanky, it took them longer to take him out, and so it gave Kat and Triss more time to like carry the game, to kill people. I mean, the enemy carries are pretty bad positioning as well, but I do believe this was like a 1200 game, maybe something like that. So and if you guys watching are like around that elo, then you can expect your enemies to make those kind of mistakes, and you just have to be there to capitalize on them. Even if you're a slightly higher elo, like, I don't know, even up to like season 2 wise, like 1700, 1800, carries can have pretty bad positioning. Unless, like, if you think about how many times you go into a game and you're like, I'd like to play AD, or someone says that they call a role and they don't get to play that role, or they call jungle, but someone else picks jungle, and AD is the only role open, so he plays AD. A jungler playing AD, they're gonna make those kind of positional mistakes, stuff like that. So there's always a window of opportunity, unless you're, like 20 kills behind, everyone's playing their favourite champions, their favourite roles, then there's always a way to get back into the game. And like I said, the way that Renekton was tanky, he didn't give up on the game. No one gave up on the game. Triss, like, people started whining when they were dying a lot. It could have been very, very, very easy for that team to 20 minutes surrender that game, because it was a pretty, diabolical start. And as far as solo queue goes, it's easy for people to give up in that context. So, I've talked way too much. I'm going to wrap up, summarize what I think this guy did well and what he could have done more of. I think I was pretty detailed in this game, but I'll do a smaller summary to compensate, because I don't want this video to go more than an hour. So yeah. right, so Shaco's positives, what he did well. Okay, actually, I'll start with negative first. Things that he could have done more of. First off, his map awareness. One good thing about me doing videos this way is that I see exactly what he's seeing. I see what he's looking at on the map on the screen, so I can see, when he's not paying attention to stuff. And his map awareness was kind of lacking in places. I think he should be always looking at the map and looking to counter gank, even if I think there's an opportunity early when Annie died bot in a gank where he couldn't have done anything. In all honesty, he couldn't have done anything, but he didn't even make a move to do anything, and that's a really bad habit. Like, if he'd have just ran down, even if he didn't do anything, it's a good habit to start, looking at the map so you can counter gank and stuff like that, because then in future, if that happens again, and you can do something about it, then he would have been there to, make a difference. And counter ganking is a really, really good way to, swing things. Like, if you think about it, if someone gets ganked and you weren't there, then 1 or 2 people die. If you were there, 1 or 2 people die on the enemy team. So if you think about that 600 gold, that's 1.2k gold worth swing. Not only do you get 600 gold, but they don't get 600 gold, kind of thing. That's what I mean. So it's very effective in that sense. What else he didn't do well? He didn't really it seemed as though he wasn't really playing with much purpose. Like, he didn't split push too much. He didn't know what he wanted to achieve in that game. Early game, his ganking was kind of a bit crappy because he didn't really know where to gank from. And so it wasn't actually that bad. To be honest, his early game looked a lot worse than it was because his team were playing really bad. Like, they were losing their lanes on their own, really. Or like stuff that was their fault, like they wouldn't ward properly, or they wouldn't realise that TF would ult and gank. So it looks a lot worse than it was on his behalf. Also, he didn't do well was like when he took the red buff from Tristana and stuff like that. He didn't really think about, he didn't really think that through at all. And I think that's kind of like the summary of this game. He didn't really think stuff through. It's like his item build. His item build was actually pretty bad. He had a Triforce, he finished his Triforce 35 minutes in, which was, he should have just been building tanky. He wasn't very useful. His team just needed more damage. People just soak up damage that his carries could carry. But yeah, like I said, I think I've pretty detailed in the video, so I don't want to go over this too much. But so things that he did well, he kind of took opportunities. It's difficult to outline why he did well because his team was doing so bad, and when you're a jungler, especially a Shaco type jungler, like an assassin, and your team's doing poorly, then it's hard for you to do well. But he stole that Baron, which was really, really good. He stole Dragon, which was really, really good. He did ward though. I don't think he warded enough, but at least he did ward a fair amount. Again, he didn't get any oracles, which he probably should have got. But it was kind of risky getting the oracle, so I can let him off on that one. But yeah, I've kind of talked way too much actually, so I wanna wrap this up. Thank you for watching this video. If you do enjoy it, please subscribe or let me know feedback and stuff like that. Like I said in the beginning, this was very, very Shaco commentary rather than jungle commentary, if that makes sense. So I will be doing more commentaries. If you like this kind of style where this was very champion orientated, then I'll do more of them. Let me know that. I'll do more of them. But I will be doing loads of these commentaries in the future, so don't worry too much if this doesn't annoy you or you want more jungle ones. I will be doing them all. So don't you worry. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.